Should those people get money?
For the people that are looting?
Yeah.
This is not what the anti-weaponization fund is purporting.
These were insurrectionists. 1,500 of them were convicted and then subsequently pardoned by Donald Trump. Those are the people who are going to be eligible to get money out of this fund. I mean, this is just his way to thank them, basically, for their loyalty to him. The fact that gas prices were lower. Now gas prices are higher than they've been in years. Promised that inflation would go down. Inflation's higher right now than when even public enemy number one, Joe Biden, was presiding over this country. It's 33% higher. Promised that there would be no new foreign wars. We've been in a war for God knows how many months with Iran now. And of course, that the Epstein files would be released. And you have a government-wide cover-up of exactly that.
Welcome to AVIX Breakdown. In today's video, Tyler Cohen goes head-to-head with Katie Zaharia on CNN's The Story in a heated discussion about Dr. Anthony Fauci, Donald Trump, and the future of the Republican Party. As Katie defends the conservative viewpoint, Brian pushes back and challenges her arguments, exposing the growing tensions within the GOP. Let's break down the key moments from this intense political clash.
Did get some answers from CNN in terms of a new poll. And it shows that President Trump's support is eroding, not only with the general public, but among Republicans. Look at this number. Feelings about the rest of Trump's second term. Right now, among Republicans, just 19% say they're enthusiastic. In April of 2025, that number was 38%. So an interesting moment, Katie, because I know that there's been so much conventional wisdom about in 2028, the Republican nominee is going to be J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio. But is it possible that Republicans are starting to look beyond Trump at other options?
Well, as I said earlier, there was a poll a week ago that showed an 83% approval rating for President Trump. And then
among Republicans.
Among Republicans.
Yeah, and now it's at 78%. But I mean, look, we know that there has been some slippage and his overall number is down. We also know he's very popular among Republicans, which is why all Republican primaries, it seems like he seems to be dominating.
Yes, he's dominating on the endorsements. However, I think as we look past the midterms, there are definitely some candidates to watch out for, which is you have J.D. Vance, you have Marco Rubio, and I'm starting to see kind of the surge of Governor DeSantis, especially in this Anthony Fauci testimony. He was one of the leading governors that handled the COVID pandemic well, not closing beaches, not closing schools, not forcing masks. And so you see a commentary starting to develop where he's able to actually stand on a state that is well governed. And I think that the Republican Party has three great candidates with the Vice President, our Secretary of State, and then also a wonderful potential candidate out of the state of Florida.
The governor of Florida. What do you think about this idea that maybe even the Republican Party may be looking to try to move beyond Trump?
I mean, look, the reality is Republicans have full control of government right now. Any one of these other Republicans in any other branch of government, in any other cabinet position, anybody not named Donald Trump also has the power to speak up. None of them do. They own all of this. All of these governors, including Ron DeSantis, who refuse to come out and speak against what Donald Trump is doing, refuse to speak out against these tariffs, refuse to speak out against the war in Iran, refuse to speak out against hiding the Epstein files, suppressing these files, refuse to speak out about the rising inflation rates. That puts on full display the fact that they're fine with it, or it's more important for them to pledge allegiance to Donald Trump than to actually deliver for their own constituents. So yes, there is going to certainly be a particular stink on somebody like J.D. Vance or Marco Rubio, but the rest of these Republicans who are going to run in 2028 also have the ability to speak out. The fact that none of them are willing to is a testament to the fact that it is more important to show that they're going to be willing to kowtow to Trump than to deliver for any of their constituents.
We've got 1 minute left, Katie. Do you think that the governors stink right now?
The governors across the country stink? Is that
what
what
he's saying? Republican governors all smell bad.
I think we're having across the Democrat Party, I think we're having some major issues with the Democrat Socialists of America rising up, kind of filling in this void that I think perhaps the Democrat Party is missing. And so this really off-the-cuff group is emerging and really taking out some establishment Democrats. But
while
Even though Donald Trump continues to have strong support among Republicans, recent polling suggests that the enthusiasm behind that support may be fading. There's a difference between approving of a candidate and actually feeling excited about the direction they're taking the country. That decline in enthusiasm could become especially important during the midterm elections, where voter motivation can have a major impact on turnout. At the same time, accountability is becoming a bigger issue. With Republicans controlling both Congress and the White House, voters expect them to take responsibility for the decisions and outcomes of their administration. If Americans continue struggling with inflation, higher living costs, and controversial policies, Republican leaders should be prepared to present their own solutions instead of automatically defending every Trump decision. Healthy political parties should be able to debate and disagree internally without treating criticism as betrayal. And looking beyond Trump, figures like Ron DeSantis, J.D. Vance, and Marco Rubio will eventually have to convince voters that they can offer more than just loyalty to Trump. They'll need to demonstrate their own leadership, independent judgment, and vision for the future of the Republican Party.
I also think as middle America just wants to be taken care of. The grocery prices down, gas prices down, and I think that as we head towards the midterms, I want to see the Republicans on my side and maybe for the Democrats on your side, but I want to start seeing my Republicans work harder in Congress.
Politicians are so unpopular right now that there may be an opening for outsiders on both parties. But first, we got to get through those midterms.
Jon Stewart, we're ready for you.
Brian, come back, both of you. Brian, why not just put this anti-weaponization fund thing in writing?
Because they have no intention of not doing it. I mean, if Todd Blanche and Donald Trump are willing to put his very confirmation at risk for this whole fund, it goes to show that, when they say, take our word for it, we definitely totally don't have any intention of pursuing this further, but they're not willing to put it in writing. And even if that means sinking Todd Blanche's nomination for the time being, if that's a risk they're willing to take, it goes to show that they obviously have every intention of the world of making sure that he can dole out as much money as he wants to all of these people who engaged in the insurrection.
I mean, why not put it in writing, Katie?
Well, multiple sources have confirmed tonight, either Fox News, a Fox News reporter and also Daily Wire reporter, saying that the DOJ has transmitted something to Tom Tillis and Senator Cornyn of the sort. Obviously, I don't know what it is. In addition, he said in his sworn testimony that this was not on the table. Multiple times he said this. So I know that they're saying that this that's written transmission hasn't been received or sent, but other sources have said otherwise.
And you think that that's a good idea, that they should back down from the anti-weaponization fund?
Well, I'm not going to speak on whether or not he should. I think right now it's getting him over the finish line. I have been on this show facts behind it and the supporting case of Obama's precedent that he sent with a fund similarly situated. However, I do believe that sources have received these transmissions, and I actually don't think it's as in jeopardy as people are saying.
I think it is insane, the notion that any Republican, if the roles were reversed, would allow a Democratic president billions of dollars to dole out to his political allies. If any Democratic president had some fund that they could pay off the ACLU and the NAACP and Planned Parenthood, Republicans and right-wing media would be apoplectic.
Or even like in 2020, Republicans were so frustrated by all the looters during the summer of 2020 and George Floyd and all the people that came in and did property damage and all the rest of it. Should those people get money?
For the people that are looting?
Yeah.
This is not what the anti-weaponization fund is purporting.
These were insurrectionists. 1,500 of them were convicted and then subsequently pardoned by Donald Trump.
At its core, this debate is about fairness, accountability, and applying the same standards to everyone. If the government creates a fund that could provide financial support to people connected to a deeply controversial political event, Americans deserve to know exactly how that money will be distributed and what safeguards are in place. Those rules shouldn't change depending on which party controls the government. The January 6th attack involves serious criminal cases, so any proposal that could financially benefit individuals connected to it is naturally going to face intense scrutiny. There's also a clear question of political consistency. If a Democratic administration created a similar program to financially assist its political allies, conservatives would almost certainly demand investigations and stronger oversight. Republicans should be held to that same standard. Ultimately, most Americans are focused on more immediate concerns: rising prices, healthcare, housing, and paying. Their bills. Political leaders can rebuild public trust by being transparent, applying consistent rules, and showing that government decisions are driven by fairness rather than political loyalty.
To get money out of this fund, I mean, this is just his way to thank them basically for their loyalty to him.
The anti-weaponization fund is predicated on the fact that we had unprecedented weaponization of our legal system against President Trump, and it gets many people, including pro-life activists and people who lost their jobs. And this isn't a personal slush fund. This is going to people who need to be able to fight back on the weaponization under Merrick Garland and Joe Biden.
Meanwhile, there's got some new poll numbers from CNN that just came out today. I want to put them up on the screen. Trump's approval rating right now, the lowest of his second term, the lowest it's been since January 6th, at 34% approve, 66% disapprove. Is President Trump in touch with your problems? Put this up on the screen. With the problems of ordinary Americans, 27% yes, 73% no. Katie, how do you see that going in the midterms?
Well, it's interesting, Alex, because just a week ago I was watching CNN where they said President Trump had the highest approval rating at 83% within his own party, higher than Bush and higher than Obama. And now a week later, he's not in touch with the party and he's the worst rated
Was it 78% within the party now?
He was, yeah, it was 83% within the party just a week ago. And look, I look back at Ann Seltzer. I'm old enough to remember where she predicted Kamala would win Iowa, and she lost. She predicted a 3-point lead, and it was a 16-point spread, and Seltzer lost her job on this poll. So as much as these polls are reflective of maybe some Americans feeling distaste, the poll has changed weekly. So I don't think it's actually reflective of Republicans' feelings on President Trump.
I think that we have seen a number of polls where the trajectory is the same on all of them. Donald Trump is reaching record low approval ratings, whether it's, any of the polls that have been tested lately. And I think that's a testament to the fact that his entire presidency is a graveyard of broken promises. I mean, this guy promised he would lower costs on day one. Instead, he started a trade war that sent the cost of everything surging, touted the fact that gas prices were lower. Now gas prices are higher than they've been in years, promised that inflation would go down. Inflation's higher right now than when even public enemy number one, Joe Biden, was presiding over this country. It's 33% higher. Promised there would be no new foreign wars. We've been in a war for God knows how many months with Iran now. And of course that the Epstein files would be released. And you have a government-wide cover-up of exactly that. So on issue after issue, Donald Trump has shown that he doesn't care what he said on the campaign trail. It was just stuff to get people's votes. Now he's focused solely on, helping himself and his family, and those are the only people that are doing well in this economy.
Of course, Trump and Republicans don't all see it that way.
These falling approval ratings could signal something bigger than ordinary partisan politics. When different polls consistently show the same downward trend, it becomes harder to dismiss the numbers as a single inaccurate survey and may instead point to growing frustration among voters. At the end of the day, people judge political leaders by what they These falling approval ratings could signal something bigger than ordinary partisan politics. When different polls consistently show the same downward trend, it becomes harder to dismiss the numbers as a single inaccurate survey and may instead point to growing frustration among voters. At the end of the day, people judge political leaders by what signal something bigger than ordinary partisan politics. When different polls consistently show the same downward trend, it becomes harder to dismiss the numbers as a single inaccurate survey and may instead point to growing frustration among voters. At the end of the day, people judge political leaders by what they experience in their daily lives. If groceries, housing, insurance, and utility bills remain expensive, voters may begin questioning whether the economic improvements they were promised are actually happening. Trust also plays a major role. When politicians make campaign promises but govern differently once in office, or avoid providing clear answers on controversial issues, their credibility can suffer. Ultimately, elections are often decided by independent and swing voters who may care less about partisan arguments and more about whether their families are financially better off. If living costs stay high and confidence in leadership continues to decline, it becomes increasingly difficult for any administration to persuade voters that the country is moving in the right direction.